Before taking your questions, I wanted to mention an additional point, and that is that I have directed my officials to summon the Israeli ambassador regarding the mistreatment of civilians aboard the flotilla. What we've seen, including the video shared by Itamar Ben-Gvir, is deeply troubling and absolutely unacceptable. Canada has already imposed strict sanctions on Ben-Gvir, including asset freezes and a travel ban in response to his repeated incitement of violence. The protection of civilians and respect for human dignity must be upheld at all times. En français aussi, j'ai demandé à mes représentants de convoquer l'ambassadeur d'Israël concernant le traitement odieux infligé aux civils à bord de la flottille. Les civils doivent être protégés en tout temps. La vidéo partagée par Ben-Gvir est déplorable et montre clairement les mauvais traitements infligés à des civils. Le Canada a déjà imposé des sanctions contre Ben-Gvir et nous allons continuer de faire pression sur le gouvernement israélien pour qu'il sévisse contre ceux qui encouragent la violence. Donc, je pourrais recevoir vos questions.
Merci. Thank you. First question, Gillian Piper, please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for taking questions today. I just wanted to ask you, is Canada considering a travel ban for countries dealing with Ebola outbreaks like the Democratic Republic of the Congo or Uganda?
Right now, we are very closely monitoring the spread of the Ebola virus, as well as the imposition of different measures at the border of some of our allied countries. This was something I discussed with my colleagues here in the Baltic region today. At this time, Global Affairs Canada is not aware of any Canadians affected by the Ebola virus outbreak in the DRC or Uganda. Consular officials are standing ready to provide assistance to those who are requesting it. I will say also that on May 15th, the Public Health Agency of Canada did publish a level 2 travel health notice entitled Ebola disease in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is the travel health notice that Canadians should follow, and we are continuously reviewing it, and it is based on activity in affected regions and the advice of the World Health Organization. I will also add that we increased this travel advisory on Friday. And so this is a situation that we're monitoring very closely. We are providing information to Canadians through the travel health notice that I mentioned, and we recently increased this travel advisory and the specifications within it on Friday.
Thank you. And just to go back to your earlier statement, have you received a response from Israel over this summoning? When did this happen?
I have not yet received a response, and my officials have not yet received a response. As soon as we were made aware of the deplorable conduct against the members of the flotilla, which did include some Canadians, I instructed my officials to reach out to the Israeli ambassador. And this is a matter we take very, very seriously. It's a matter of humane treatment of civilians. And I can assure you that we are acting with absolute urgency on this very serious matter.
Next question, Carl Dugan, please go ahead.
Hi, Minister. Thank you for taking our questions. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. The brigade commander in Latvia says that we're going beyond tripwire posture against Russia and preparing for possible combat. What do you think of that assessment that our posture has changed, and do you share it?
I was just in Latvia yesterday, actually, and I did speak with members of the Canadian Armed Forces and got a sense of the very intense activities and exercises that they are undertaking in order to, as a brigade with 14 member nations in total, to be absolutely prepared for any eventuality. The situation here on the Baltics remains one in which there is obviously concern. The concern in terms of our meetings today as ministers related strongly in terms of Russian misinformation and disinformation relating to the use of airspace and drones. I will say that we are traveling next to Sweden to participate in the foreign ministers meeting, where we will have a broader conversation about the threat environment and the work we need to do to bolster the eastern flank. And I will finally say that the work that Canada and the Canadian Armed Forces are doing in Latvia is absolutely essential, and I felt the gratitude that the eastern flank has expressed repeatedly during my visit. The mission that we are undertaking, our Operation Reassurance in Latvia, is Canada's largest overseas mission, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is that we are entrusted as a country to ensure that we're playing our part in bolstering and protecting NATO's eastern flank. And so taking on the leadership of the brigade in Latvia with, as I said, 14 countries in total, is a priority for us from a foreign policy perspective. And it is one that we have committed to until at least 2029. And we will always stand in support of collective defense in the context of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Thank you.
And can I get your reaction to the EU SAFE agreement passing European Parliament in a vote? And what are the next steps for Canada joining SAFE?
This is a good question. It's actually the first question I've ever received on SAFE, so thank you for asking it. And let me just start by saying that it is quite an innovation for Canada to be part of the SAFE. And so this move today that you mentioned in your question is very important. Canada being the only non-EU member to participate in the SAFE. And what that means is that Canadian companies are going to be able to participate in procurements typically available only to EU companies on the same level, in the same terms as those companies. And so this is an advantage, obviously, for Canadian companies. And obviously, my reaction is positive. I am very enthusiastic about providing as many opportunities internationally to Canadian companies that benefits, obviously, the Canadian economy, and the interaction with companies in other jurisdictions is obviously mutually beneficial. And so the answer to your question is one of positivity. I also want to mention Canada's work on the DSRB. What we are doing now as host country for the DSRB is working to bring additional countries into this framework. And essentially what the framework is to create a pool of capital for companies, primarily small to medium-sized enterprises, so that those companies can scale up and produce required defense equipment. And by required, I mean so that supply can begin to meet demand that has been steadily increasing after the further illegal invasion by Russia to Ukraine. And that is just another initiative that Canada is participating in with other countries on a multinational basis, so that we can ensure that our industries are thriving as a result of our work internationally. We very much hope that SAFE will continue to support our strong trading relationship with the European Union, in particular with the CETA being in place as well. And so, as you've seen in this answer, the EU is a very important trading bloc for Canada. As you may know, the EU single market as a trading bloc is Canada's second largest trade partner, worth $162 billion, or 8.1% of Canada's total two-way trade in goods and services in 2024.
Prochaine question, Yasmine Mehdi.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Yes,
Est-ce que vous m'entendez bien, madame? Oui, génial. Merci de prendre nos questions.
Oui.
D'abord, l'OMS a alerté ce matin sur l'ampleur et la rapidité de l'épidémie d'Ebola en Afrique centrale. On sait que les risques de propagation sur d'autres continents sont pour l'instant faibles, mais est-ce que le Canada envisage de venir en aide à la RDC?
Excusez-moi, c'était un petit peu plus vite, trop vite pour moi. Est-ce que vous pouvez répéter la question un petit peu plus lentement?
Absolument. Par rapport à l'épidémie d'Ebola, est-ce que le Canada envisage une aide à la RDC?
Je comprends maintenant. Bien sûr, je pourrais commencer par mentionner que notre organisation, le PIHAC, c'est une expert et travaille très proche avec d'autres pays, d'autres organisations internationales. Et à ce moment, nous sommes en contact étroit avec nos partenaires en santé mondiale et humanitaire qui évaluent activement la situation. À ce moment-ci aussi, le Canada n'a reçu aucune demande bilatérale officielle d'aide, mais comme j'ai dit, nous sommes prêts, nous sommes ici pour travailler avec d'autres organisations, d'autres pays aussi. Et il y a une semaine passée, par exemple, quand j'étais à Bruxelles, j'ai parlé avec quelques homologues pour souligner que nous sommes ici pour collaborer sur les enjeux internationaux, y compris les enjeux de la santé.
Excellent, merci. Et par rapport à la vidéo publiée par le ministre israélien Ben-Gvir, on comprend que vous allez convoquer l'ambassadeur à ce sujet. Est-ce que vous avez des nouvelles des 12 Canadiens qui sont détenus en ce moment par Israël?
Pas encore, mais je suis prête pour recevoir d'autres informations. Par exemple, j'ai parlé avec quelques députés avant que j'ai voyagé d'ici et ils m'ont dit qu'ils ont entendu de quelques citoyens dans leur comté. Donc, je peux vous assurer que nous agissons avec urgence dans ce dossier sérieux et toujours, je suis prête pour discuter les enjeux sérieux et les enjeux qui sont nos priorités, parce que nous sommes ici pour appuyer les citoyens canadiens qui voyagent dans d'autres pays. Et je voudrais aussi peut-être ici souligner que le Canada a déjà imposé des sanctions contre Ben-Gvir et nous continuerons à faire pression sur le gouvernement d'Israël afin qu'il prenne des mesures contre ceux qui incitent à la violence. Ça, c'est la raison pour laquelle, par exemple, j'ai demandé à mes officiaux de parler avec l'ambassadeur israélien aussitôt que possible. Et merci beaucoup.
Next question, Rachel Haynes.
Minister, thanks for taking.
This will be the last question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for taking our questions today. I wanted to ask you about Conservative MP Michael Chong, who is in Taiwan. Are you supportive of his decision to travel there?
So we have, as you know, in our parliamentary democracy, we have a long history of parliamentary delegations, including individuals traveling to countries around the world and to ensure that the links between Canada and other regions are continuing to grow. And we do have strong people-to-people ties with Taiwan and strong commercial ties with Taiwan. At the same time, since 1970, Canada has operated under the One China policy. This is successive Canadian governments that have maintained respect for the One China policy, and that policy remains unchanged. It is within that framework that Canada and Taiwan maintain a relationship. That relationship is based on significant economic, cultural, and people-to-people ties. And so, as I said, those are the main points that we consider from a foreign policy perspective when thinking about the Indo-Pacific region and in particular our relationship with Taiwan.
Okay, thank you. And as a follow-up, the Chinese embassy here in Canada has not been supportive of his visit and even put out a statement saying that it opposes countries having diplomatic relations and engaging in any form of official exchanges with the Taiwan region. Do you think that China should be dictating who Canadian politicians engage with and where they visit?
Well, as I said, the independence of Canada's parliament is a pillar of Canada's democracy, and members of parliament and senators have a long-standing practice of visiting Taiwan and indeed regions all over the world. So I will say that as Canada's foreign minister, I'm putting forward the framework in which our foreign policy is constructed. And that framework involves, obviously, a respect for parliamentary democracy, a support for parliamentary democracy that has seen parliamentarians throughout the years traveling all over the world. And at the same time, our foreign policy does operate within the framework of the One China policy, which has been maintained by successive governments of Canada since 1970. And so there is a need really to understand both of those important threads. And as I mentioned, this is Canada's foreign policy, and that's what I'm here to represent.
Do we have time for one more question?
Thank you very much,
Minister?
everyone. Unfortunately, I have to head out, but I hope to speak with you all sometime very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci, c'est ce qui met fin à cette conférence de presse.